You know, when you really look at our world, at the cities that literally glow from space, at this whole massive global civilization we've built, it feels so permanent, right? It feels solid. But what if I told you that's all just an illusion? That not so long ago, our entire story, our very existence, almost came to a sudden and very final end. Let's dig into just how close we came to disappearing for good. So right now, there are over 8 billion of us here on planet Earth. Just think about that number for a second. It's so big, it's almost meaningless. We are everywhere. Our success as a species, well, it seems totally absolute, doesn't it? Like it was always meant to be. But here's the thing. The genetic evidence, the story that's literally written in the DNA of every single person alive today, tells a completely different story. And honestly, it's a terrifying one. It's a story where our population didn't just take a dip, it completely collapsed. So catastrophically that humanity itself was right on the brink of being wiped out forever.
So that's the real question, isn't it? How close did we actually come? This isn't some story about our incredible strength or resilience. This is a story about our fragility. It's about a moment when history was balancing on a knife's edge. And if just a couple of things had gone a little bit differently, well, none of us would be here to talk about it.
Okay, so the scientific term for this near-miss event is a population bottleneck, and it's exactly what it sounds like. Imagine our entire species being squeezed through this tiny, tiny opening where our very survival becomes a statistical long shot. And the wildest part? Our own DNA still carries the scars of this event today. It's baked right into our biology. So just how small are we talking? Well, the best estimates we have suggest that the entire global population of breeding individuals, so the people who could actually carry on the species, was down to around 1,200 people. Let that sink in. That is fewer people than live on a single city block in many places today. The entire future of humanity rested on a group so small they probably all knew each other by name. And here's the danger. When your numbers get that low, just plain old random chance becomes absolutely lethal. You don't need a giant asteroid anymore. All it takes is one bad winter, one hunting party that gets lost and doesn't come back, one generation that just can't find enough food. And poof, game over. So what on earth happened? Why did we get pushed so close to the edge? Well, this wasn't just a tough winter or a bad drought. The Earth itself, the very planet we had evolved to thrive on, turned against us in a major way. See, for thousands and thousands of years, our ancestors had adapted to a world that was, for the most part, predictable. But during this period, that stability completely shattered. The planet was just thrown into chaos, with these violent, sudden climate swings that turned familiar, life-giving landscapes into alien and deadly environments. And this climate chaos kicked off a massive extinction event. The huge animals that humans had relied on for generations, the megafauna like mammoths and giant bison, they just vanished. And this wasn't just about losing a source of food. This was the complete collapse of the entire ecosystem our ancestors had built their lives around. Then, about 12,800 years ago, came the knockout punch. Just as the planet was finally slowly warming up after the last ice age, it suddenly and violently snapped right back into a deep freeze. This event, it's called the Younger Dryas, was a climate shock of just incredible speed and power. It was like a global reset button was slammed on all human progress, wiping out generations of knowledge and adaptation almost overnight. When you look at the archaeological record from this time, it's chilling. It's as clear as day in the layers of the earth. You see thriving settlements that were there for generations just disappear. You see stone tool traditions passed down for centuries that just end. Entire cultures, entire ways of life simply blink out of existence. I mean, if the world was this hostile, if our numbers were really that low, how on earth did anyone make it through? How are any of us here right now? The answer is actually pretty humbling. We didn't make it because we were the strongest or the smartest or the most adaptable. The few small groups that scraped through, they mostly did it because they were lucky. They just happened to be in the right little pocket of the world at the right time, a tiny refuge where food could still be found. They weren't the best of humanity, they were just the remainder. And you have to think about what was lost in that bottleneck. It wasn't just a loss of population, we lost entire branches of the human family tree forever. Languages we will never ever hear spoken. Art we'll never see. Stories will never be told. Entire ways of seeing and understanding the world just erase. So this is the real, humbling truth of our deep past. Our story isn't some straight upward line of inevitable progress. No, it's a survivor's tale. We stood right on the cliff edge of extinction, and we weren't pulled back because we were so clever. We were just spared by chance. And that leaves all of us with a really profound and kind of unsettling question. We like to think of extinction as something that happens to other animals, right? But the truth is, we've been there. We've seen the edge. So the real question isn't whether it's possible. The question is, if we find ourselves on that edge again, will we be as lucky?